Everybody hates ADA session when it comes to trading indices, but I'm gonna show you guys today my strategy during the ADA session, and it works perfectly on indices. And let's get straight into it, because using my strategy, if you can recognize when the conditions are good based on how price delivers the structure and how the structure overall range forms, you'll be able to tell when is good price action trade, when is bad price action. And using my strategy, you're able to make, just like me, 10 risk reward here. And again, this is just literally during only ADA session, trading nothing else. And this is on ES here, but of course this strategy does apply to any other asset, for example like gold, which is another asset a lot of people love trading during ADA session. But anyway, let's go in replay mode here real quick and show you guys what I was looking at this point in time on this day, on the 22nd. So one key thing to really notice right off the bat is that if you go to NQ real quick, okay, on NQ now, you can see clearly that we have SMTs. So whenever we have SMT, first off, what is SMT? SMT is basically where one asset, or we have two correlated assets, and one asset makes a higher high and higher low, or higher low, and the other one does not. So you guys see how at 3:37 p.m. NQ low got taken out at open, literally at 6 p.m. EST. Look at what happened to that same low, 337, right at open on ES. ES did not take out that low, but NQ did. So when I see this happen, I'm immediately going to shift to trading ES. Why? Because you always want to be trading the asset that is more in your direction or favor. If I'm looking for longs, I want to see the asset that did not take out a low. If I'm looking for shorts, I want to see the asset that did not take out a high. So that's what an SMT is. And you can even see, I believe there's another one here, 3:14 and 4 o'clock, 3:14 and 4 o'clock, right? ES respected this high here, while NQ took out this high. So anyway, point is I was bullish here. I'm gonna go over real quick why I was bullish. If you go to the higher time frame here, let's go to the 1 hour. You can clearly see, let's go to 4 hour. Don't see anything in 4 hour. If you go in the 4 hour, usually the higher time frame you go, the less information you get. And yes, there's gonna be tons of trades in this. A lot of people may see this on the 4 hour and think there's no setups. But with my strategy, because it's trading on the lower time frame, you don't need to see much on the 4 hour. So let's go into 30 minute now. 30 minute, you don't see anything here. Let's go to the 15 minute, you just cycle through. That's all I'm doing with my strategy. I'm just cycling through, right? 5 minute, you don't see anything. Now, the last time frame I go on is the 1 minute. So let's check out the 1 minute and see what we got here. We have an unmitigated 1 minute origin here. So let me mark this as well for the video purposes, but this is a 1 minute origin. Again, my indicator does mark out everything for me here. So I don't usually need to mark out too much stuff myself when I'm live trading. And, I just go off the indicator and alerts. But regardless, we hit the origin here, and this was during new session, by the way, okay? This was not during the ADA session when I was looking for setups. Now that we hit the origin, we open here, so this is when I start looking for setups. Now, you can see we didn't get really an entry model. For some reason, the time looks weird here. Oh, sorry. Yeah, we didn't get an entry model until like 14 minutes later after hitting this origin, which again, to me, that doesn't really matter too much as long as we get an entry model here and price doesn't run away too far. Because if price runs away all the way up here and I'm not in this trade yet, longs here, there's no point in taking a long up here, right? That's called FOMO, and you don't want to be doing FOMO trading. You want to stick to your rules and be patient, because I think patience is probably the one psychological thing in trading that took me the longest time to learn, because I was trying to rush to make money so fast instead of realizing patience is key, patience pays, and I need to be more patient and be more selective on my setups and not take the low probability ones, but focus on just taking higher probability ones. But essentially, you can see how I'll explain real quick why this SMT plays such a major role today. You'll see exactly in this trade. Obviously, ES is the one that held the low, did not take out the low, so I'm taking on ES. I see my 1 minute OB entry model, so you can see there's the OB right there, and I set my limit order at the OB right here. Okay, if you don't know what an OB is, check the video within the course, the 100 course. Also explain it in the mentorship for those that have not watched the course yet. So again, I do cover what an OB is in there, and this is your OB here. If you want to cover structure wise with the OB, you can cover this low here, because this low internally made this new high. You can use this whole thing. Usually I just use this whole thing, to be honest. I don't necessarily go to that exact candle, because there's another OB as well right below. So I'm using that, and for me wise, because the extreme low is down here, if you look at the RR wise, this is not a bad RR trade. This is still a 3-year sword. But for me, I know 3-year sword is not that much considering how far my target is here. My target is past the next high, so 3-year sword is not considered a lot. I know I can improve this and make it more efficient and optimized. So this low is too far away from me. What I was basically looking at here was this low here, a structure as well. I basically covered these two lows here. So that's where my stop loss was placed. Limit order was placed here. And that's basically where I entered. So if we go and replay here real quick, waiting for a setup, and boom, I got entered here on my trade. And we basically just go towards price. So now there's different ways you can manage this trade here. One way you can manage this trade is going break even when we mitigate opposing PY such as this. Now for me, I believe I did not go break even or anything on this trade. This was just like a set and forget. Why? Because this is a high probability mechanical model. Look at the structure here. At some point, we're going to take out the next high. So I'm trading with the trend. So because I'm trading with the high timing trend on the left, and the right has already done its retracement here, right? To literally the last PY left, aside from an external liquidity sweep, the last unmitigated PY left here. This is a really good setup. I don't mind just holding it. So that was my entry there. And then, like I said, I just held this trade here. I was marking some stuff out while I was in this trade just to monitor what's going on here. Again, it doesn't affect me. Like me seeing this is not going to make me jump out the trade or jump into a trade. All right, just doing it just to practice myself. And you can see that we did 2 internal sweeps. Again, unfortunate, but they happen. Doesn't affect my trade though, because like I say, you always want to take the initial entry. Whenever you take the initial entry, you don't have to worry about stuff like this as much. And all the price in between, like all this price in between is not as good as, in my opinion, the initial entry. So yeah, once you take this initial entry, you can see how we have SMT marked out here. Why? Because look at this high here. It's at 4 p.m. Look at this high, 4 p.m. But you see how at 7:45 p.m. ES took out that high at 4 p.m. 7:45 NQ is down here. The high is up here. So this is why, or this is exactly why you take it on the stronger asset. We tend, not always, but most times, we will take out the high or your target, it's a better word, first on the stronger asset in your direction. You can see if you were trading NQ, the price would have took a bit longer to hit that high, which is not ideal, because what could happen, and I've seen this happen sometimes, is NQ, let's say you're logging on NQ and you're trying to go for this high. What could happen is ES took out this high here, and instead of NQ going for this high as well later, it goes for this PY and then goes lower, or it does another mitigation cycle, which again, you're missing out on profit here with the short and then the other profit with the long. So take on the stronger asset. It's only basically for purposes of TPs. TP is more likely to get hit. But for me, I basically held this trade to the next high here. It's just another high here. But the main high I was really focused on was this high here. Now this, we have another PY above, but this was enough risk reward for me to be satisfied with. Of course, you could have extended it for one more RR, but there's a PY right above there. And if we go to the 5 minute, let's see, is there anything else on the 5 minute here at the time? There's nothing else. This PY is unmitigated or fully mitigated on the 5 minute, but it's still a valid like supply, if that makes sense, if you're trying to look for a setup. Now, obviously, I did send out to the Discord at this point in time, and I told everyone in the server that if you're trying to look for longs here, or you should be looking for longs here, because my bias is bullish here all the way. So there was either a way you could enter initially here with me, or you could have entered here, or you could have entered here with my stop hunter. So basically, I TP'd here for 7R, and I was looking for another setup here to go further higher. Because sometimes I've noticed from my testing is, you guys can see how if I extend this TP here, I get about 8 risk reward. But if I take a 7R and take another setup here, I can make more risk reward. It's just basically about optimizing my net risk reward I can make. And I've noticed this happen when we do take out highs and such, and we can get another setup, or we hit a PY that I'm still expecting to fail. You can, like I said, you can clearly, of course, you can hold this all the way if you want. But for me, 7R is plenty of RR to be taken out of in the market, and I don't want to lose all my 7RR, if that makes sense, in case I'm wrong. So I was waiting for my stop hunter setup here. Again, I have made a new video within the course talking about this new way of entering a stop hunter. Watch that course video if you haven't already. Again, not too many people have watched it yet. It is brand new 2026 course content. But basically I had limit order right here, okay, because we do have an unlimited PY right below this internal sweep. And my stop loss I did cover. Like I said, give some wiggle room. Don't do this, okay? I don't recommend doing this with stop losses. At least give it one tick on ES. If you're trading NQ, the ticks are a lot more, so you can set your own rule for that. But I just got about a 3.8 risk reward on this trade. Again, I didn't wait for a candle closure. I had a limit order here, and let's say, for example, we miss this limit order. So let's say we miss this limit order here. Then, if we just got a candle closure here, I just take the candle closure, and depending on where it closes though, okay, again, I have talked about in the course video about different ways of you able to basically find entries, price points, or better price points for your entries. So you can use those techniques, but I believe I've covered totally so far 4 different ways of entering this. Anyway, yeah, limit order here, and I just targeted the next high, okay, internally. That's from my back testing. I believe my back testing video posted in the course. Most of my targets were just at the next internal high. If you like, you can go for this, sure, but it's much lower probability than you just going for the next internal high, because sometimes you do have back-to-back stop hunters where something like this happens, or we can get a mitigation cycle, go higher, which based on this delivery is a lot less likely, especially when we just start slowly trending like this. It's a lot less likely for us to get mitigation cycles fully back to 50%. So yeah, and let's see what happened. I believe price started at the previous day high. I don't recall if it did or not here, but it did definitely run very nicely here on ES on this day. So you see, that's basically how I ended my ADA session. Again, this was taken both during ADA session. This was just during kill zone. This was pre kill zone. But like I said, as long as the setup is there and it's a good setup, I'm willing to take it outside of my time ranges. The only things you really want to be aware of in terms of time is obviously like New York session for the most part, because you don't want to trade towards the close of New York session, because you're going to have spread hour after that. And obviously the market's going to close. So you obviously want to get out of your trade as soon as possible. But aside from that, I haven't found too much difference in my win rate, about like a 4%, 4 to 5% on my testing with trades outside versus inside kill zone for you guys trading my strategy. AKA inside kill zone does improve your win rate by about that 5% mark. So hope you guys do enjoy today's video. Recapping this, like I said, NQ I believe also did go higher. So you could have hit TP on NQ, but it just wouldn't be as nice as ES. And NQ also did have the exact same stop hunter setup here. They could have had limit order and it ran. So yeah, hope you guys do enjoy today's video going over how I was able to make 10 risk reward, just 10 and 2 winners, taking my continuation model on ES during a low volatility session. Hope to see you guys in the free Discord server. Again, if you're interested in applying for a one-on-one mentorship to learn directly from me one-on-one, click the link down below. Otherwise, I'll see y'all later. Peace.